Okay, call the meeting to order. Full board with the exception of Council President Rodriguez, present, and Chief Awanchu is here also. Go ahead, Chief.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Welcome to September. Can't believe it's here already. So to start off, just going into our minutes from our previous meeting, our August meeting. I did email that to the Commission for your review. I don't know if the Commission would like to have any discussion on the minutes from the August meeting. Any errors, omissions?
Motion to approve.
I'm waiting for my my editor on the other side. So I have a motion from the mayor, second by Commissioner Mills. All in favor? Just looking at some of the statistics for the month of August, I did email the monthly report. I did not get the one from the Intel Center yet for August, so that should be coming out. Now it's the more detailed one with the maps, the fancier one. But for August, in our internal monthly report, the department handled 3,154 calls, which was a slight decrease, a 4% decrease from the previous month of July, where we had 3,280 calls. Part 1 crimes, we did see a decrease for the first time in several months. In August, we dealt with 45 Part 1 crimes. When you break that down, 7 of them fell into the violent category and 38 the property category. Still out of that property category, 32 of them were larceny related. The larcenies seem to be driving our Part 1 crimes still. In July, we handled 50 Part 1 crimes, so we did see a slight decrease there. Part 2 crimes, for the month, we handled 91. Previous month was 103 Part 2 crimes. August, we made 218 arrests, which was a 22% decrease compared to 278 in the month of July. We issued 283 traffic tickets, which is a 5% decrease of 298 in the month of July. We are still showing a 6% increase year to date, though, in traffic tickets. Parking tickets, we issued 410 in the month, which was an increase of 25% over 329 the previous month. Out of all of those arrests and calls, we had 7 incidents that required uses of force, which equates to 3% of total arrests for the month. In the month of August, we handled 1 shots fired call, which was on August 20th in the area of 30 Lake Avenue. Came in about 10:30 in the evening. We have no victims, no suspects, nothing but a caller and a video that shows a male subject running through a backyard. We did locate 2 shell casings in the area that have been entered into the NIBIN system for analysis. We have nothing back to confirm that they're involved in anything else as of this time. So that'll be an open case that we continue to work on. Any questions with the statistics from the month?
No.
Since July, since the change with the extreme risk protection orders, those ERPO orders, the department has applied for 11 thus far. We continue to monitor them and we keep track of them, so we have follow-ups as well in case we need to extend any of those. Since our last meeting, I've had the pleasure of having the outreach coordinator from Independent Living start with us. In the last meeting, I mentioned that she would be joining us. She did start with us on September 6th. She's an outreach advocate, works for Independent Living, which is a mental health association. Her goal and role is to work with us directly, very similar to our domestic violence outreach coordinator, where she could do follow-up, go in the community, go on calls, provide resources and access to services. One of the other things that I didn't realize that she has the ability to do that she shared with us is that she could do some follow-up on overdoses, non-fatal overdoses, where she could do some follow-up to get maybe some treatment, some direction, and she could go into the homes of those individuals and train other family members in the usage of Narcan and supply them with Narcan to help that individual, which was an added bonus, I thought. Moving into our staffing, we still currently have 4 vacancies. We are actually, with the results of the last exam, we're starting some backgrounds. In addition to those 4 vacancies, I have one of our members still on disability, I have one on maternity leave, and I have 3 in field training. Background packets have been sent out to anybody that was on the top portions of the scores, top scores of the exam. Majority of them are due back on the 9th of September, so I started reviewing them. Out of the 20 or so that I did receive, majority of them are certified police officers, so we did start backgrounds on 3 of those candidates. On September 24th, next Saturday, we will be assisting the Civil Service Department. They will be hosting a physical agility exam for other people in the top scores. On the bilingual exam, we chose the scores of 95, 90s, and 85s. That group, it's about 20-some people. And on the non-bilingual exam, we chose the 95s and 90s, which is about 45 people total. So we had about 30-ish that were eligible to not take the exam or are already taken the physical agility exam. We have about 40-some that are scheduled to be with us on the 24th. And we'll have a better idea on the 24th what we have going forward. My goal with that would be to have some suitable candidates before the commission, possibly as early as November, if the commission is willing to interview them. We still have our plainclothes detail working. As of now, we have Officer Coletti and Officer Ortiz. They were transferred into this unit in mid-August. They've been extremely active. They're doing a great job. Thus far in this detail, they've made 68 proactive arrests for a combination of traffic violation type stuff all the way up to drug violations. They've been very responsive to anything that we give them, being very active, getting out, doing a lot of foot patrols in some of our hot spot areas. So they're really taking the role very seriously and doing a good job. I've selected Officer Dolan to be our next downtown officer. I was hoping to have him there this week, but with some of our scheduling stuff and some training stuff, Officer Dolan's going to be doing our range cycle, which will be the end of this month. So as soon as he's done with the range cycle, he will transition right into the downtown assignment. Detective Slanovic and Detective Rosen, I have assigned to some task force work. Detective Nyland is retiring the early part of 2023, and Detective Nyland has been our liaison to the Safe Streets Task Force, the FBI Safe Streets Task Force. For 10 years, he was actually there full-time. For the last about 5 years, I've had him on a part-time basis working as a detective and being our liaison through that organization. With him retiring, we wanted to keep that relationship going and even expand it a little bit more. So Detective Slanovic will be our part-time liaison to the Safe Streets Task Force, and Detective Rosen will be our liaison with the ATF Task Force. Again, part-time roles, working out of our organization, but giving us conduit to those organizations for resources, for investigations and otherwise. And there is no commitment. If it doesn't work out, we're not bound to do anything. If there's any issues with, all I have to do is draft a letter, have a conversation with the directors, and that we move on. So there's no commitment. Some of the pros, besides having access to those resources, and we would still have access even if we didn't do these partnerships, it just makes it a little bit easier having someone in there. They do supply things such as vehicles for the officers to utilize, and they can reimburse some of the overtime associated with those in specific investigations. So really the benefit comes to us rather than to them, how we see it. But any questions, concerns, thoughts? Okay.
Sir.
I would like to plan a pinning ceremony for October to recognize the officers that have been promoted over the last year. The promotions, most of them took place earlier this year. Some at the later part of last year were still kind of in the COVID stuff, so we never really recognized them publicly. And now that things are kind of coming back, we got through the summer months, I will work with the mayor and the city clerk to see what is available with a council meeting, maybe October, November, to get that done, if that's okay with the commission as well. Any other discussion on staffing? Any questions, concerns, thoughts, ideas?
Some question about the pinning ceremony at the council meeting. Let us know if it's going to be November.
Yes, I will let you know once I square away a date with, between the mayor and the city clerk. I don't know what the schedule is already for the meetings that are coming up, but I will make sure the commission knows. Since our last meeting, I'd just like to go over some of the training that the department has participated in on both being educated and being instructors on. We send someone to be an instructor and someone to be certified as defensive tactics instructor through the defensive tactics instructor course. We've had 2 officers attend the patrol rifle course, and we also had a sergeant participate in the instruction of that course. We've sent 3 people through the Extreme Risk Protection Order webinar, which is those ERPO. It's just like continued information on what's coming out, and that being that they are fairly new. We sent an officer to participate in the reality-based training course. We sent 4 officers to the New York State Case Law Street Cop course. We've sent 2 officers to the Responding to Major Use of Force or Officer-Involved Shooting Investigations course. We've sent an officer to the Law Enforcement Against Drugs and Violence course. We've had 2 detectives attend the Ghost Gun Investigation seminar. We've had an officer attend the field training course as an instructor. And we've had another officer attend the Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs course as an instructor. Most of those instructor courses are right here at the Police Academy for both recruits and members of other police departments. Mostly in the Orange County area. We do get some people from outside of the area as well. We're still moving forward with our mission with the Lexipol policy and procedure. We're a little over halfway, so we're pretty happy. We're putting a lot of hours in every week of reviewing policy, drafting it, working with our liaison from the company. So we are still on pace to be done by the end of November. And as soon as we're done drafting, we'll have some little loose ends to tie up. But I imagine we would start pushing the policies out to the commission late December, early January for review, acceptance, discussion. Make sure that we are still in compliance with what the commission expects us to be. Since our last meeting, I've had 3 members that came down with COVID throughout the month at different times. All of them have returned, minimal to no symptoms. Tested positive with PCR tests, back to work, except for one. There's about 1 more day out. But we still monitor that. We still try to use precautions as much as we can. But we still seem to be getting a little bit here and there. Community events. This past Saturday, September 10th, we participated in the community barbecue. It was absolutely an amazing turnout. I would say several thousand people throughout the day. It was a very, very much bigger than we anticipated. It's hard to determine, gauge what we were going to get. We expected more from last year, but it was really an outstanding event. A lot of great partnership with local businesses, the city departments, fire department, Parks and Rec, the council, the mayor, just so much support, and it was just an amazing, amazing day. We had a great turnout, a beautiful day. The fire department did an amazing job. They had a line, seemed like a mile long. They were letting the kids squirt the hose off the fire truck. It was really awesome. But positive feedback. We thought we prepared enough and brought more food than we thought we'd ever need, and we ran out very quickly. But it was a very good turnout. It was nice to see how many people came out to support us. And for me, that shows that the community does support us, because I thought if they don't, they wouldn't come to events like that and share them with us. So school was an outstanding partner there, provided a lot of the food, hired a band, an amazing band to play. They had a DJ. It was a really good time. On September 24th, we will be hosting our movie night, which will be in Erie Way Park, right back here. In the past, we've done Degnan Square, we've done North Street, we've done King Street Walkway. We're excited to do it in the park this year, a little bit more room. And the bid district, through Marie Bruni, has partnered with us, and she actually hired a band to lead off the event. So there's going to be a band that plays, followed by our movie. We will barbecue for the attendees that come out that day. Also earlier that day, there's a community barbecue that's going to be in the park that we'll participate in for Senator Skoufis. So it'll be busy September 24th. And then we are in the process of planning another Youth Leadership Academy. We plan on starting sometime in October, probably mid-October. And our goal is to have 25 youth to participate in that. Last time we ran it was a 12-week program. Outstanding response and feedback, so we're trying to capitalize on that and maybe even expand it a little bit more. Any thoughts, discussion, questions, any of the events? I do have some cases just to review, just to kind of give a little bit of oversight of, some of the stuff that the officers have been dealing with. During the July meeting, I had briefed the commission on a shots fired. It was actually a shooting incident that occurred on June 15th on Chestnut Street. The detectives, through their investigation, had identified our suspect in that, and actually secured a arrest warrant for him, and he was on the lam for a little bit. Just last week, they were able to get him to come in through some assistance from some other community support. Got him to come and turn himself in, so we were able to charge him accordingly and close out that case. On August 23rd, we had a weapons offense case. Officer Berman and Officer Estremera, my neighborhood officers right now, they're actually conducting a vehicle stop on John Street. While they're out speaking with the driver of that vehicle, they were approached by another male subject who was requesting their assistance and pointing across the street to two males that were walking up the street, identifying them as two people that had just stolen this person's bicycle, and they were pushing a bicycle up the street. So the officers diverted from the vehicle stop, finished that up, when approached the two males walking up the street with the bicycle, engaged them in conversation, conducted a field interview with them. One thing led to another. They did steal the individual's bike, but they were also in possession of a stolen handgun. They had it in a backpack. So something seemed like something so simple and innocent turned into a great arrest. We got a weapon off the street. The individual that was arrested was 18 years old, from Woods Place, Deshaun Hannon. So great work to them. Right place, right time. Did a good job with that. On September 2nd, this is one of the robberies that came through. It ends up being domestic related. It was between two brothers, some alcohol involved. Verbal dispute turned into a physical dispute where one stabbed the other with a can opener and took some of the property, so it categorizes itself as a robbery. We had another robbery on the same day, 20 Wilcox. This was a younger adult, yes, listed an item, a clothing item for sale on a social media account, and someone else had, contacted him and said, I'm interested in purchasing it, gave him his address, told him where to come to get it. The individual comes there in a car with another person. He wants to examine the item. The seller gives him the item to examine. The buyer, per se buyer, takes the item, goes back to the car, claims he's showing it to his friend, and they get in the car and drive away. The kid tries to pull the item back through the car window, gets struck a little bit. So because there was force used in that as he's driving away, it is categorized as a robbery as well. So the detectives are investigating that through the social media, trying to backtrack to see who that individual was. So I do have a couple other ones that I would like to share. Just make sure I have them here in order. This is another, I feel, is a good investigation done by patrol and detectives. On September 7th, there's a minor accident at the intersection of South and West Main and East Main at the square, right alongside of Equilibrium. Minor fender bender, two cars, persons get out, they end up in a verbal argument over it. The verbal argument turns into a physical altercation. One person is getting the best of the other person. The person that's not really doing too well runs back to his car, comes out with a handgun, puts it in the other person's face, exchanges words, they get in their cars and take off. Neither of them call us. A third person actually calls us and lets us know, hey, this is what happened. These are the descriptions of the cars, the people. Everybody responds up there to get whatever information, start putting it out to the cars. Couldn't get any luckier, honestly. Not only did it get captured on one of the business cameras, there is actually a commercial vehicle behind these two vehicles that caught it on their dash cam, which was it was awesome that, we got that big break. Took the information that we got from the video, threw it into our flock LPR system, started getting some hits on the car, on the LPR system. Officers responded to that area, were able to locate the car in one of the housing complexes. Unoccupied, quickly located the individual, the driver, wandering through the complex. Did not live there, was just trying to, hide out a little bit. So we were able to identify him, locate locate the car. The only thing we never did find was the weapon. So he was able to discard the weapon somewhere between the incident and where we located him, but he did get charged accordingly. And again, good work using technology, some, quick responses. We were speaking about some of the fights a little while ago, but I could revisit them. There was a couple of large fights yesterday at the school. Same kids that we've been dealing with for the most part. It seems like the nucleus of those incidents, one started at Twin Towers, one started at the high school, pretty much kind of around the same time, some of the same kids involved. And the officers dealt with it. The school was being very supportive, working with us collectively on it. From what I'm told, the individuals that have been identified thus far through video have been suspended on a 15-day suspension, and there is scheduled hearings for removal from the school. So as the school superintendent has told us, she's taking a different approach, more consequential approach for this poor behavior. So we work with her diligently. We're very grateful to have that support at this time. And then we will evaluate the situations as well to see if there's any criminality that we could charge based on their ages. I know we mentioned some of it going around on social media. It does not look good, but I do want to say that it doesn't mean the school is not safe. These are isolated incidents. It's getting back to school. There's some emotions, anxiety. Kids are acting up a little bit, but for the most part, 98, 99% of the students in the schools are doing the right thing. They're there to learn. The schools, they've stepped up to security. They've done a lot to try to minimize these things. They actually just implemented today, and it worked out amazing. And the superintendent told me this afternoon they're going to keep it going till further notice. Is a staggered release, so they're not deploying all of the high school students all at one time. They're doing it by section. It takes a little bit longer, a little bit more resources, but it's minimizing the impact. So based on today's experience, everybody was very happy. So superintendent's going to announce that tonight at the board meeting that's going to be, from here on out, or until at least further notice. There was a threat made to the school today. We have not been able to confirm its validity. It was being airdropped through students' phones about some type of hostile event that would take place at the pep rally, which was scheduled for tomorrow. Basically saying that, there's going to be some type of an event if you want to be there, or don't be there if you don't want to get lit up. We used all of our resources. We've contacted our resources at the FBI. We went through our intel center, did some searches on whatever we can, the resources that are available. We thought we had it contained in one section because it seemed like it was one group of kids that had this airdropped. With airdropped, you have to be fairly close to have that dropped into your phone, that image. We were able to obtain all the phones from the group of kids in that location, evaluate them. We could not determine that it came from any of those phones. And then we realized as they were doing that, it was popping up in other areas of the school as well. Based on not being able to have any real validity to it, we're taking it as serious, but we don't think it's enough to shut down the school. We've had a conversation, I myself have had a conversation with the superintendent. We're going to go about school as normal tomorrow. The only thing that is going to change is that they're going to hold the pep rally at a different time a couple weeks from now. We'll give it a little bit of time to settle down. Our response to help ease people's concerns and to have a stronger presence at the school is my staff. We're going to step up. We'll bring our 8 to 4 shift in earlier to help with the onset of school. We'll bring the 4 to 12 shift in early in the afternoon to help with dismissal of school. And then I have additional officers assigned throughout the day at the school to have that stronger presence and hopefully deterrence and show the students that, hey, this is serious. We're going to take this very serious, and we'll continue our investigation to see if we do come up with any type of intel to say it originated from wherever. So these little things pop up day in and day out, but our relationship with the school and other law enforcement makes it a little bit easier for us to manage and work with. Thoughts, question?
These kids that are causing the problems, are they identified with like gang members, different gangs going after each other?
Not necessarily. Like some of the stuff over the summer and the tail end of last year, some of those kids have been identified with one of our local gangs. But they've seemed to kind of break up for the most part from what we're seeing. They seem to peak a little bit towards the end of school in the early part of the summer. We did have shots fired involving that group through the summer school. They don't seem to be the same kids directly with the group that we dealt with yesterday. The group yesterday, they are kids that we've been dealing with other situations at some of the parks, some of the fights after school last year, some of the fights we dealt with over the summer, some other poor behavior that we dealt with over the summer. Seems to be some of the same names.
I've noticed that, I can't tell their ages, they're pretty young, wearing different bandanas,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them walking down the street with their jeans beyond their underwear. I guess that's a label for them. I've seen more of it now than I've ever seen.
And I wouldn't say that's specific gang paraphernalia or gang like dress. I think it's more of a fad. Like I think it's a style that the young kids go and use. Like I know I was speaking with Commissioner Sullivan earlier that one of the persons that he saw was dressed in red. That is a kid that we identify. We deal with him on a regular basis. I don't think he has any affiliations. I could be wrong, but I don't think he does. I think he's kind of trying to find a place to fit in and looking for some attention. He's 14 years old, lives with his grandparents. They're his caretakers. And I think like that specific kid, I feel is kind of trying to find, he's pushing the limits and he's causing some issues. But there's some formalized gangs, but I don't think that's what we saw with these incidents.
Well, like I say, I'm retired, I drive on the streets
Mhm.
every day, just that, I'm the Uber driver for the other family.
How much do you charge?
I get paid with food.
Ooh, even better.
And I just noticed more of this than I've ever noticed in
Mhm.
the past couple of years. The bandanas, different bandanas, and they walk in groups of like 4 or 5 at a time, and they're all wearing the same bandana.
We will see that as well. I mean, I think we see that not just here. I think we see that collectively, and I wouldn't say that in and of itself is enough to say that they're gang affiliated. But
Well, one gang against the other, you're crossing my territory.
yeah, thank God we don't have that right now. We're not dealing with that. We're not dealing with that turf war type stuff.
Okay.
The group that we identified and we could label as a gang, to our knowledge, it's not so much of a turf. It's this is our group, and anybody that's not in our group, we may encounter. But again, I don't even want to say it, the last month or so, they've been kind of fractured. So we're hoping it continues that way.
They changed from gang to group now.
Possibly.
We're a group now, we're
Yeah.
not a gang anymore.
And we, believe it or not, we've made some great strides with some of our community partners that have actually reached out to some of the members of this gang group and has had some conversation to help fracture it a little bit. So I appreciate their efforts, and
Oh, yeah.
that's been a great resource.
Okay, thank you.
But if you see something that you think is worthy of us investigating and looking into, please let me know.
Okay.
I don't know if you would like to go over the internal investigations, or do you want to do that when everybody's here? It's up to you guys. Like,
The 3 you sent?
so there's 3 I sent, and then there's some that have been tabled for the last couple months. But that's totally up to you.
I'm not doing it, but do you guys want to wait for?
Want to wait for Commissioner Rodriguez and the mayor to come back on another meeting?
That's up to you guys. That's your decision.
I'm really good. I'm willing to go forward like that. It seems kind of minor, so clear it up.
All right.
Yeah?
Okay.
Is that something in executive session now?
No, because I won't talk about any of the officers,
No?
any individuals. Like, I won't get into the specifics about it. I'll just say, try to keep it as broad as I can. Any other questions with any of the reports or any other situations that you may have been aware of or heard of or want to know about? Here's one I'll share. Actually, go back to some case review. We took a report on September 7th in the area of the Northern Academy. I have no idea. Oh,
Right now.
oh, okay. So the Northern Academy is on the Psych Center grounds, and it's right next to the Honor, which is the homeless shelter. On the 7th, at about 6:20 in the evening, we were requested to come up there as 3 students from the Northern Academy were approached by a male subject who asked them if they wanted to be famous. And they took off running, ran inside, told the school staff called the police. We went up, the officer went up, interviewed the students, interviewed the staff. They advised the officer that there was some video of the situation, reviewed the video. The officer recognized the other individual, the male subject, the so-called suspect in that situation. Recognized him, dealt with him in the past, and knew that he was a tenant of the Honor building. He went over, located him, had a conversation with him, explained to him, like, you're not allowed over there, they don't want you there, you can't approach people, so on and so forth. Followed up with the director of Honor, Chris Molnelli. He was made aware of this also the following morning. The people from Northern Academy had a conversation with him when he became aware of that he had that tenant of Honor relocated to a different location to avoid any future situations there, which I thought was a great response from Honor to help us with that situation. And I think that's all of the ones I brought. So if we move into personnel complaints and internal investigations, the first group that I mailed goes back to July 14th. The first one that, if you would like to discuss any of these, I have them with me for if we would like to discuss them. The first one I'll bring to the table is the May 25th, 2021. It's a use of force injury sustained by defendant Kevin Diaz. It's associated with his actions at the time of his arrest following a domestic dispute. After investigation, I found no violations of policy, and that would be blotter number 21-15879. The commission like to discuss that one at all in detail?
No.
Okay. If the commission is okay, we could go through the ones, and then at the end, we could make one single vote to accept them or to, reevaluate them individually or collectively. Is that fair? Or would you like to vote on them individually?
We can do it.
Okay.
That's the group.
Okay. So the second one would be June 13th, 2021. It's a use of force injury sustained by defendant Jameen McLean, and another injury also to police officer Trapini during his arrest for the violation of an order of protection. After the investigation was completed, upon my review, I found no violations of policy, and this is in regards to blotter number 21-17705. Would the commission like to discuss that in detail? The next one would be September 30th, 2021. The dates that I'm giving are the dates of the incident themselves, I'm sorry. That is a personnel complaint made against Officer McCann by Nicholas Rivera. Nicholas Rivera alleges false arrest, excessive force, assault, property damage, and retaliatory tactics. Upon investigation, it was found to be exonerated, the personnel complaint. This is in relation to blotter number 21-28746 and personnel complaint number MPD-II001-22. In regards to this incident stemmed from an arrest where Mr. Rivera was arrested for skateboarding on the public sidewalk in violation of city code. He did plead guilty in the court, and then after pleading guilty, he decided to file a personnel complaint against the officer, and he did file a notice of claim through his attorney, making us aware that he has intentions on suing us. As of this date, we have not received any lawsuit. Would the commission like to discuss that in any more detail?
Is there a limit to how long before it would be dismissed that he didn't have any actions?
I believe it's 2 years. He has, if I'm not mistaken. Alex Smith is aware of the situation because Mr. Rivera has also filed additional personnel complaints and has had additional encounters. He's actually reached out to several members of the Common Council. He has been removed from the police station because of his behavior when he comes in to discuss it. We actually had to remove him from the mayor's office because he went there one day and created a situation. So he's been kind of a constant and consistent person in regards to the complaint. He's very adamant that he shouldn't have been charged. And again, he did plead guilty in the court. So I don't understand why he pled guilty and now is making these allegations. Many of our encounters with Mr. Rivera, including the initial incident from September 30th, are captured on body camera, and I can make them available for review as well if the commission would like. He's also been advised that if he would like to address the commission, he has the ability to come here as a member of the public. He's been advised on many occasions of such, and he has thus far not taken us up on that offer. Would the commission like to discuss that further?
What age is he?
I want to say he's mid-20s. I can tell you exactly if you want. Actually, he's 31 years old. Moving on to the next one would be an incident from March 1st, 2022. This is a personnel complaint made against Sergeant Patron. This one was made by Nicholas Rivera, alleging that he was battered. This is the specific incident that occurred in the mayor's office. Upon investigation, this incident was found to be exonerated. This is blotter number 22-4657, and its personnel complaint number MPD II-003-22. This is where he actually went to the mayor's office looking to make a meeting. This mayor's secretary was trying to schedule a meeting. He was basically demanding and making some comments that were perceived to be threatening and alarming, to the point that they actually had to call the police because he was putting them in fear. The officers responding, including myself, he didn't want to take anything but what he wanted to hear. Didn't want to leave, didn't want to go through the proper procedures, and we actually escorted him out of the building and out to the front steps, where it was explained to him, you know, why he was being removed, why his actions caused alarm, so on and so forth. He disagrees with that. He then proceeded to come into the police department building and continued. And at that point, I actually advised him that he should probably follow up through his attorney. He said he already filed notice of claim on us, that his conversations and questions to us should probably be through his attorney. Again, that is caught on body camera as well. He records them as well when he interacts with us. I have that one also. If you would like any further details or discussion, I did send the commission the entire internal investigation. The only thing that I did not forward with that is the body camera footage or any other videos. If you would like those, I could forward them to you, or I could play them for you. The next one is dated April 13th, 2022. This is a personnel complaint of potential inappropriate conduct by a retired member of the department. This is closed currently pending additional information or cooperation. This has been addressed. I've actually discussed this with Corporation Counsel to make sure that he felt we were dealing with this appropriately, and to see if he had any other thoughts or concerns on a different way we should be approaching this. He felt that we had handled it to the best of our ability with what we had at the time. This is an open, pending case. Like, you know, it's closed pending additional information. Any additional information, it would be reopened, reevaluated, and to see where we could go from there. So with that one, that is case number, personnel complaint MPD II-007-18. And based on the information that I did forward to the commission, you can see that this originated earlier in 2018, and then additional information was presented earlier this year in April, opened it up again, and brought it back to our attention. So again, if something else is brought to our attention, we'll revisit it and see if there's something that we could do with that one.
So basically, right now, it's just
Until we have additional, we need cooperation, evidence, some type of supporting documentation. A lot of our stuff right now is he said, she said, third party. You can see in the investigation, the lieutenants have tried to track down as many people as they can, driving multiple times to locations, making many meetings. Some were attended, some were not attended. They actually went and woke the potential victim up and tried to have a conversation. He refused to have a conversation. So there's not much we could do without that specific information. It's kind of he said, she said type stuff right now. The next investigation is dated June 24th, 2022. This is a violation of departmental policy, specifically our uniform and equipment and appearance policy, AGO 0228-21, and I addressed this by giving the involved officer a written counseling. Any further discussion with that one? No. On June 22nd, 2021, the use of force injury sustained by defendant Jordan Mims. These are the last three that I just sent. I don't know if the commission had enough time to review those. Yes? So, June 22nd, 21, use of force injury sustained by Jordan Mims associated with his actions at the time of his arrest. Based on the investigation, I find no violations of departmental policy, and that is blotter number 21-18519. And as you see in that investigation, he is yet to answer his criminal charges. It's still outstanding. He's warranted several times on those.
But in this particular case, the entire incident is on video?
Yes, it is.
Great.
Yep. I watched just about all of it. It's not something that the average normal person does. I think the initiating officer, based on the time of day, he sees a vehicle do an abrupt U-turn in the street, sees it has no license plate, at least on the rear, goes to stop it, it doesn't stop right away, goes a couple blocks. Upon approach, the initial response from the officer was not that of what you would expect from the average citizen, and then it kind of escalated from there. As you see in the investigative report, there was a knife secreted between the front seats. They had to go through extreme measures to get him to comply, cooperate, to come out of the vehicle, and it went on for some amount of time. The next one would be June 25th, 2021. This is pertaining to a bicycle accident involving Officer Chasapanta and a Mr. Michael Crawford. There are violations observed, violations of policy pertaining to this incident, and I addressed that by verbal counseling. I truly do not believe that Officer Chasapanta was trying to conceal, hide anything here. He gave the individual his business card with his own name on it, his information. He got out, offered him to get him an ambulance. I do feel that he thought that it was a non-issue at the time. I think he thinks of it differently now. I think he's learned from this. He's been a very productive member of the department, very positive member. I think it's an unfortunate situation. I'm glad Mr. Crawford isn't seriously hurt, and that is something that is being, addressed by the court. He did file suit against Officer Chasapanta, so that is pending in the court, and we will see how that turns out. Corporation counsel is involved in this, as is the insurance company, based on the suit. So we will be monitoring that to see where it comes.
Now, the way I read it is that the bicycle and the vehicle never came in contact.
Yes.
And he fell off his bike.
Yes. We do believe Officer Chasapanta entering into Wickham Avenue was the contributing factor. He did not see the bicycle coming. He should have yielded the right of way to the bicycle. But Officer Chasapanta swears that the bike never made contact with the vehicle. There's pictures of the bicycle. There's no damage to it. You can see that in the investigation.
He just fell off his bike.
Yeah, I'm going to guess, and I wasn't there. This is not caught on video. I'm guessing the police car pulled out. He abruptly stopped. The momentum probably caused him to fall. He scuffed up his arm, popped the chain off of his bike, and, he ended up leaving the scene without any issue, So,
And there's no sign of damage of any type to the car.
none to the car. Lieutenant Valentin, during the investigation, went to Mr. Crawford's home, was able to observe the bicycle, take pictures of it. No damage to it. It has a flat tire when he goes out there to take the pictures. The rear tire, not the front. So if he were to hit the car, it would have been the front, we would assume. So again, he did fall over. Police officer didn't yield the right of way.
Did
So-
you get pictures of his leg?
Of his arm.
But
There's,
then he claimed his leg was.
oh yeah. No, the picture is just of his arm, I believe. Oh yes, he does claim his leg in his response. Yes. But when they went out, they only got pictures of the raspberry on his arm.
Guy riding a bike was just.
So yes, it could have been dealt with differently, and that's why the verbal counseling. That's a violation of the policy and procedure. Obviously, the officer should have turned on his body camera, should have made a report of it. So he's been counseled in regards to that, and I think he realizes now, like, this is why we have these things, to protect from situations such as this. Going on the body camera would have helped tremendously there. The next one is dated August 24th, 2022. This is excessive earnings and use of comp time, which was a violation of the collective bargaining agreement and departmental policy. This was addressed with a written formal counseling as well as realigning the usage and earnings of those time accruals to rectify the misuse of that time. Any discussion, thoughts on any of those?
I'm wondering if this employee felt obligated, that she had no choice but to stay, right? She had no choice.
Some of those situations, like she could earn time voluntarily taking shifts. Sometimes it's because they can't leave for their lunch meal, so they're entitled to be paid for that. Sometimes it's extended shifts. I'd have to go back to that and look at each individual of why she had to stay in excess of her 8 hours. But even if she stays in excess of her 8 hours, she's not required to take it as comp time. She could take it as cash payment. And based on the collective bargaining agreement, they're allowed to earn up to a certain amount of comp time, and anything above and beyond that, they could still be compensated, but it would have to be in the form of cash instead of the time. So she had the option, being that she is a senior member of the department, she's very aware of the requirements and stipulations pertaining to the time. And as indicated in the investigative report, she was addressed about going over the caps earlier in the year, where she then transitioned from taking it as time to pay, and then shortly thereafter she went right back to taking it as time to build up time to have additional time off. So yes, there could be that she had to be here for whatever reason it may have been, but she had options and guidance as to how to be compensated for that additional time at work. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense.
Okay.
I was just, well, I believe that there's vacancy there.
There is. Yep.
So does she just feel like, well, if I don't do it, no one else will, and not, the policy's policy, I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just,
No. It's good conversation about it, and we've taken that into consideration, being that there is a vacancy on, like, she's basically working a squad by herself. The second dispatcher is not filled right now. We have supplemented that with one of our officers as she was transitioning from patrol into maternity duty, so she did help out there. And we also extended her the courtesy to say, hey, we're not going to hold you to all the same standards with time off because we know you don't have a partner to kind of work with. So we've given her some leeway with her time off. This is more specific to actually how she was earning it and earning more than she was entitled to earn and using more than she was entitled to utilize. So I'd like to say, like, is it a perfect situation? No, but I think we did give her some leeway with usages of time as far as like what she was allowed to have and use. To me, this is like a little bit separate. Like she went outside of that to, I want to get more. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 internal investigations that we just discussed. If the commission would like to discuss any of them more in detail, or like anything else done, would you like additional investigation done on any of them?
No, I'm satisfied.
Okay. So being that there's no additional discussion, could I have a motion to accept those investigations that we just discussed? Accept them as written?
I make the motion.
Do I have a second? Do I have an all in favor? Appreciate that. We are trying our best to get caught up with them. Every time we think we're getting caught up, something else pops up. Something else that I did forward to the commission back in July as well that we've tabled the last couple months is updated policy. That would be policy OGO 078-22, which is the extreme risk protection orders. This is a policy that was required by governor with some changes in the criminal justice platform earlier this year. So we did draft this policy. We are following it, and we just want to make sure that the commission is supportive of it and is okay with the policy as it is written. So would you like to discuss it in detail? Okay. So being no discussion, could I have a motion to accept this policy? Commissioner Mills, do I have a second? Commissioner Sullivan, all in favor? Any opposed? That is basically all of the business that I have on my agenda this evening. Does the commission have anything they would like to discuss? Comments, concerns, thoughts, ideas, good, bad? Okay. Being no topics to discuss. Eileen, is there anyone online that would like to discuss anything or address the commission?
Not at this time.
Thank you, Eileen. Being no further business, I would like to request that we make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a couple personnel items.
Make motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Yes.
Commission will move into executive session at 5:29 PM to discuss personnel matters.
Please be advised this ends the public portion of today's meeting. Thank you.